Hi, I'm Mike, and cows need water. And this morning, we have a very serious problem with a hydrant that supplies water to them, and we have to get it fixed. We're also going to be testing some viewer suggestions on how to make things just a little bit easier around here. Let's hope we make progress today as we tackle the project list on our Wyoming Life. This board behind me contains the project list, an ongoing list of all the things that we need to get done around here. As we cross things off, more things get added. And even though it does seem like a never-ending nightmare, it does feel good when you get to cross something off. Last week, we fixed our spooler, re-welding the spear back on the spindle, and I'm glad to say that it's held up for another week. We also tried our hand at plastic welding and fixed a crack in the pig water tank that may or may not have been caused by me breaking ice in it with a big axe. That first venture in plastic welding has been successful, as the tank has been in use for a week with no leaks. As sub-zero temperatures continue, it was 15 degrees below zero last night with a wind chill getting down to minus 31, we can expect more issues with water, whether it be tanks or water lines that supply them. Cold temperatures like this play havoc on wells, as well as hydrants that we use to turn water on and off for the animals. This morning, after feeding, I went to turn on the water for the heifers and the horses and found that I couldn't budge the handle. It's frozen, somewhere inside the internal mechanism of the hydrant. Now, these are frost-free hydrants, meaning that when you turn them off, all the water is supposed to drain to the bottom of the pipe, which is buried 6 feet below the ground, below the frost line, and then connecting to the water line coming from the well. Draining the water out of the hydrant supposedly keeps it from freezing, but it doesn't always work that way. All it takes is just a drop of water to stay in the working parts of the hydrant, and it freezes up. What we need to do is thaw it out, and hopefully it's only frozen in the head of the hydrant. Using a torch, we can put some heat to it and try to thaw it out. Unfortunately, with our cold temperatures and the wind, even putting heat from a propane torch isn't transferring enough heat to get us much above freezing, and the handle still won't budge. But that isn't our only course of action. We can step it up a bit, and using this heat gun, basically a supercharged hairdryer, we can put more direct heat on the hydrant and continue the thawing process. Even though this heat gun is throwing out temperatures close to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, standing out here with it isn't warming me up at all. And even though the outside temperature has risen to 2 degrees, I'm going to sit in a nice warm truck and wait for the heat gun to do its magic. After about 10 minutes or so, we can get out and check the temperature of the hydrant and see if all this heat is actually helping at all. The hydrant itself is up to about 60 to 70 degrees, but the handle still not moving, which tells me that the frozen problem is down lower in the hydrant, and fixing this one might call for the big guns. When it comes to melting ice around here, the big guns consist of a weed burner, stolen from Erin's garden, where she uses it to kill invasive weeds that try to creep in. I use it to burn and melt stuff, and hopefully not myself. Once out of the truck and set up, this propane burner can be lit using a small propane torch, and poof, we have fire. The mix gives you a nice blue flame that burns upwards of 3,000 degrees and burns everything it can, including the fence, and what remaining grass is still around the hydrant. Luckily, there's a lot of snow out here to put out little fires, and we can try the handle again, which is still stuck. It's cold out here. I'm cold, and I'm just about ready to give up. We're going to put out a couple small smolders with some more snow and try the handle again. And hallelujah, the hydrant breaks free and the water flows. Even better, because the fence is still smoldering. We're going to grab a small hose and wet down the wood that's pretty hot right now and get to filling these guys' water as they wait patiently for their morning drinks. More waterers need filled as we head over to the pigs and first get them their food, then turn towards their water tank. We always read all our comments and try to answer them too, and I'll tell you why. Because the best suggestions come from them. Just like Gerard in Kentucky commented on a video a few weeks ago telling us that he likes to use collapsible pocket hoses when he needs to use one during the winter. He commented that they're easier to work with than regular hoses, and they tend to drain out better, so that you don't end up with frozen water inside the hose. Normally, I use a regular hose to fill up the pig tank. It works just fine as long as it doesn't get left outside or doesn't freeze with water in it and become stiff and brittle. The trick that I've found to prevent that from happening, other than taking it back to the shop every day, is to blow water out of the hose after every use. I don't carry an air compressor with me, but luckily I'm full of hot air. And normally a few puffs cleans out the hose just fine, where I can throw it in the back of the gator and I'll take it back to the shop. But today we have this. Finding a pocket hose in our little town was a trick, especially in the wintertime. But I succeeded and found this 25-footer for about 20 bucks. It's hooked up and turned on, and it works just like a hose, delivering water to the pig's tank. But the moment of truth is when it's time to be done with it. Disconnecting it and rolling it up into a much more manageable coil than the regular hoses, and blowing in the end, where no water comes out. Time will tell, but this hose is staying with me for a while. It's much easier to deal with than a shorter and stiffer one. Thanks, Gerard. Our last project today comes from a viewer as well, a Facebook post that was sent to us detailing a farm hack that we might be able to use right here. Earlier this winter, our normal stock tank for the cows, well, the hydrant broke. It froze. And I ended up moving the tank to another hydrant to make sure the cows have water. The problem is there's no electricity anywhere near this tank. So every morning, and usually every night, I end up breaking ice in this tank so that the cows can drink. This morning, I did just that. But now we're going to try to solve the freezing problem altogether with some salt, some gallon jugs, and some water. Taking the 1-gallon jugs and adding about a 1/4 cup of salt to each one, and then a bit of water. Capping them up, shaking them up to dissolve the salt, and then heading back to the tank, which, as I said, I already broke open this morning, but we can already see that ice is reforming. It's not thick yet, and with a few smacks of the trenching shovel, we can break it up. Then we remove the ice chunks from the water, preventing it from freezing up too fast, hopefully, and toss the water bottles into the tank. Now the point of this is that the bottles are going to be moving around the tank, pushed around by the cows drinking and the movement of the water itself, therefore not allowing the water to freeze as hard and making my life easier when it comes to breaking ice. That's the theory. We'll see if it works. I love getting your suggestions, and if they don't cost too much, I'll give them a try. You never learn anything if you don't try things. Success or failure, you learn from it. Thanks for joining me today. I'm glad that you stayed warm as we continue to fight winter here on the ranch. Come back next Tuesday and we'll find out if our water bottle solution worked, and we'll keep fighting the project list. Subscribe, make sure you comment. We love hearing from you. This Thursday, join us as Erin heads back into the kitchen and shares with you a recipe that's been in her family for generations. And I'm sure it's going to make your mouth water. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee and warm up a little bit, then it's back out for me. There's more to be done. It never ends. Thankfully, that's job security. I'll see you on Sunday for another ranch video, and as always, thanks for joining us in our Wyoming Life.